So going into this video, I always thought the University of Chicago got rid of their football team in the 40s and never brought it back. Turns out, I'm an idiot, and they brought back their football team in the 60s and were founding members of the Division III. So rather than this being a video on why UChicago should bring back football, instead this is the rise, fall, and rebirth of the University of Chicago football team. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know which school you want me to cover in future videos in the comment section below. University of Chicago would start a football team because the school's first president, William Rainey Harper, dreamed of having a team that could dominate on the gridiron. He would hire Amos Alonzo Stagg to be the school's head football coach and athletic director, giving him a tenured position which was rare at the time. Harper aimed to build an institution that embodied the academic excellence of Oxford while remaining American in culture. Excelling at football, a sport synonymous with the American way of life, was the key to his vision. When he originally wrote Stagg, he told him that he wanted to build a team that would knock out the competition. Stagg was born in a poor Irish neighborhood in West Orange, New Jersey, but would go on to play football at Yale, where he would go on to be an All-American. He would start his coaching career at Williston Seminary before coaching at Springfield YMCA. Stagg was known as a wizard of the game and had received high-paying offers from established programs like Yale. But Stagg wanted to build his own legacy from scratch, and the new school in the Midway was the perfect blank canvas. Stagg would play anyone, anywhere, at any time, pushing his teams hard as they toured and played the most formidable opponents in the surrounding states. In 1896, Chicago joined Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Northwestern to form the Western Intercollegiate Conference, which would eventually evolve into the Big Ten. Football became a premier event on campus as tickets were in high demand, as students had to fight for seats at Stagg Field with the general public. The stadium would always be full for home games, making it a ruckus home environment. In one instance, after an 1896 victory over Michigan, more than 200 students skipped class and fled the halls. When the cavalcade passed Harper's office, he joined in, marching alongside the students, whose school spirit had become a significant source of profit for the university. Under Stagg, football came first above academics, as they enjoyed access to specialized training facilities, country club retreats, and a far lighter workload than the average UChicagoan. The football team would win their first ever national title in 1905, which resulted in their second Western Conference title in school history, and the team finished 11-0. It was the first undefeated and untied season in school history. Stagg also believed in vegetarianism, training his teams on a strict vegetarian diet and not allowing them to use alcohol or tobacco. Stagg himself did not consume alcohol, coffee, or cigarettes, and promoted the consumption of veggies over red meat. The football team continued to find success as they won their second national title in 1913 with a 7-0 record. By 1920, Stagg was a legendary figure at the University of Chicago. While they continued to find success, some wondered whether the football team was hurting the school by not being focused on education first, major value of the school. Following America's post-war economic boom, the schools like Michigan, Harvard, and Notre Dame spent millions on grand new stadiums to ensure their place among the elite, while UChicago stood idly by. In 1923, Ernest Burton became the school's third president and viewed sports differently than Harper and Judson. Burton denied Stagg's request to fund an entire new stadium, instead opting to install 2 new grandstands. This decision marked the beginning of the end of Stagg's regime on campus. The football team began to struggle in the back end of the 1920s, finishing with 6 losing seasons from 1925 to 1932. During that time, the football team lost to Michigan 85-0, which was a truly embarrassing loss to their former rival. The football team was dying, and Robert Maynard Hutchins believed he would be the executioner. A Yale graduate and a high education idealist, Hutchins saw football as an obstacle in the path to making UChicago a sacred space dedicated strictly to the pursuit of intellectual enlightenment. He basically banned recruiting from the football team altogether and stripped Stagg of whatever power he still had. As a result, attendance, victories, and interest among the student body and faculty fell steeply. In 1931, Open Letter to the Old Man, the Daily Maroon, called for the retirement of the almost 70-year-old head football coach. After 42 years as the University of Chicago's head coach, Stagg would leave the school to become the head coach at Pacific. He finished with a record of 244, 111, and 27, winning 2 national titles and 7 Western/Big Ten Conference titles. His career record of 314, 199, and 35 still make him one of the winningest coaches in college football history. Clark Shaughnessy replaced Stagg as the school's head coach and found little success, going 17, 34, and 4 in 7 seasons, while going 5, 25, and 2 in Big Ten Conference play. Their last Big Ten Conference win would come in 1936 when they beat Wisconsin 7-6. The only positive to come from this period would be Jay Berwanger's winning of the Heisman Trophy in 1935. In December of 1938, Hutchins wrote an article in the Saturday Evening Post titled "Gate Receipts and Glory." The piece is a striking, unfiltered account of Hutchins' true opinion on the place of football, or lack thereof, in higher education institutions. Voicing his disgust with the commercialization of intercollegiate athletics, Hutchins tore apart the athletic myth that promoted football as the ultimate indicator of a successful university. Hutchins saw intercollegiate football as a financial enterprise with a rosy glow of health, manhood, public spirit, and education. Hutchins wanted UChicago to be a school where the students came to learn, not to have fun or attend athletic events. During that same year, Hutchins wrote to the Board of Trustees recommending them disbanding the football team. Shortly after receiving the letter from Hutchins, the Board of Trustees voted unanimously to abolish varsity football at the University of Chicago. The student body found this more of a relief, never believing they could compete against the other Big Ten schools under their strict rules, and its presence only threatened the preservation of the intellectual ideals of the university. So why did the University of Chicago decide to drop football? The school believed it was not necessary for them and was actually hurting the university rather than helping it. Chicago is one of the few endowed universities that did not grow out of the college, but actually started as a university. The goal of the university was to engage in advanced study, research, and professional training, together with such basic educations as was necessary to prepare students for the graduate level. When looking at Chicago in the 1950s compared to the rest of the Big Ten, their enrollment was relatively small at only 7,500 full-time students. 50% of the students were in graduate courses, and of the undergrad students, 40% of the student base was women. A large amount of their student base just did not care about football. The appeal of the university was to those who shared in its aims. Students came to study, and the alumni, an unusual proportion of whom were teachers and members of the learned professions, agreed that that was what they should be doing. Unlike other universities, Chicago had the freedom to do whatever they wanted to. They did not have a governmental or denominational control. They had a different kind of alumni or a different relationship with them, or they were without the financial resources that the University of Chicago commanded. The university, far from feeling a duty to conform, believed that its principal reason for existence was to criticize and improve upon current educational practices. In the 40s and 50s, the school was viewed as a modern-day Athens. Although the Athenians cared about sports, they never let it affect their educational system. Outside the US, college sports are not big business like they are here. They are just ways to get involved in school. They are not used to make money. Most major donors at large universities give money because of on-field sports success, and Chicago wanted to get donations based off of their educational success. Football did not fit the values of the University of Chicago, whether that be the university's values or the student base's values. Though the University of Pacific's president felt differently, as he said around the same period of time, the curriculum has become diversified. There are numerous electives. You study the same courses or sit under the same professors. So in this period of intellectual and social disintegration of the American college, all unite in football. Football has become more than a spectacle. It has become a symbol. It has become one of the great intangibles, not only of college, but of our American life. Actually, if you want to look at it at the higher level, football has become the spiritual core of the modern campus. At the time, college football was turning into big business. A lot of schools were being caught cheating to win games, which Chicago did not want to have reflect on their school. Jeff Kravitz said back in 1954, "A college president must know the corrupt practices that are being used to build his football squad. But if he tries to stop them, he runs afoul of the prominent alumni on the Board of Trustees or Board of Regents, or alumni with endowment available money. The president needs that money to keep his school going." They also wanted to put money back into the university rather than the football program. The football team struggling also made it an open and shut case. While some said the school could just play against smaller schools, Hutchins believed it would tarnish Chicago's status as a premier university. Football remained dead for the next 24 years and was not a topic of conversation until 1956, when the Committee on Student Interest brought forth a petition to bring football back to campus, stating that students do not have much fun at college. The Board of Trustees struck down the petition unanimously. This led to the creation of the Organization Against Football to keep football from returning. In 1963, students came together to form their own club team, which meant the return of football to campus. During the first scrimmage, the Organization Against Football held a sit-in on the 50-yard line at Stagg Field. The demonstration was short-lived, and the season went on without any further interruptions. The Maroons began on a path to redemption. The program would continue to grow before they became a founding member of the Division III. President John Wilson wanted to make football fun again at the school to improve and widen the scope of students' lives on campus. As a homage to the former coach, the D3 football championship game was dubbed the Amos Alonzo Stagg Bowl. They would play in the new Stagg Field, with the old stadium being demolished and being replaced by Regenstein Library, with the new stadium having about a 1,000-person capacity. From the 1970s forward, Division III grew, and so did the football program at UChicago. In 1976, the school joined the Midwest Collegiate Athletic Conference before joining the University Athletic Association in 1988. The team struggled not getting to a 500 record until 1976, and not having their first winning season until 1985. Then came Dick Maloney, who immediately turned the program around. During his second season as head coach, the Maroons would go 8-2 and won their first conference title in 1998, 74 years since their last Big Ten title, with a 7-2 record. They won their second University Athletic Association title in 2000, before up and down seasons between 2001 and 2004 where they had 3 losing seasons. They would once again win the University Athletic Association in 2005 with a 5-4 record and won their 4th conference title under Maloney in 2010 when they finished 8-2. During his tenure, Maloney built a program recognized for not only athletic emphasis but academic excellence. He would leave Chicago following the 2012 season with a 94-82 record, making him the second winningest head coach in school history behind Stagg. Chris Wilkerson would replace Maloney as the head coach and continued to build on the school's success. In 2014, he would lead them to an 8-1 record in their 5th University Athletic Association conference title. In 2015, they would join the Southern Athletic Association before joining the Midwest Conference in 2017. Through the 2021 season, Wilkerson would lead Chicago to 7 winning seasons in 9 years, with their lone losing season coming in 2016. They would not field a team in 2020. Wilkinson would finish his Maroons career with a 51-27 record before becoming the head coach at Eastern Illinois. In 2022, the school would go 7-3 and went 6-4 in 2023. Todd Gilchrist, Wilkerson's replacement, would resign as head coach a few weeks back, while Gilchrist finished with a 13-7 record. Heading into this upcoming season, offense coordinator Max Andrew will serve as the interim head coach. Like I said in the opener of this video, going into this video, I did not know the University of Chicago had revived their football program. I always thought the program was still dead. But it is amazing to know that the school ended up bringing football back, and maybe one day they could play in the Stagg Bowl to honor their former legendary head coach. And maybe one day I will take a trip out to watch them play. What do you think? Was it the right decision to bring UChicago football back at the D3 level? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.